Toby Keith, we've talked about Toby being on the very first show and singing, his hit songs, and just, a longtime buddy. Me and Toby got to know each other back, 92 or 3 or 1 or whenever it was. That's when our friendship. But Toby, singer songwriter, but a lot of folks don't even understand just how successful of a businessman. Maybe one of the smartest. Yeah, he's certainly top 3, 4, 5. I don't know. Maybe the smartest businessman I know. His acumen's unbelievable. Yes, he's a great singer and a performer and a songwriter.
Time out. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I just want our listeners to understand that when we're talking about Toby Keith, I know some non-country music fans probably think, oh, the guy who said put your boot in your ass. Okay, whatever you think of country music, let me say it again. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Continue.
Conrad, while I'm talking the Google machine, if you'll bring up Fortune magazine, Toby Keith, and find out what month he was on the cover.
Sure.
It's just a little interesting footnote.
That was July 2013.
Okay. So that magazine comes out in about April, right? It's a little early time. So, around Christmas time of 2012, I begin to have those thoughts, the hypothetical. It's funny how you cachet it nowadays, but it's the what ifs. What would that look like? And again, for new My World listeners, at this time, I'm still the single largest shareholder of TNA Entertainment. And like you said, my baby, if you will. And so there was a ton of mixed emotions. And can we right this ship? What is Viacom's outlook really going to be? What's the temperature on everything? How are we going to get this thing back cranking out money? Because when Impact was taken on the road, when we took it out at Universal Studios Orlando and took it on the road, that was a massive, massive, massive financial drain. And it didn't improve the ratings at all. Not saying that it should or would have, but actually they trailed down a little bit starting in 2013. And so, Conrad, I'll just say this: into 2012, beginning of 2013 is when I really started after a couple of discussions with Toby and understanding Toby and his team. And when I say team, it is advisors, attorneys, financial guys that he vets everything that comes across, every investment that comes across his desk. We transitioned from being drinking buddies and partying buddies and me going to his shows, and he would drop by wrestling events. And I think I mentioned this. He actually back in the early days came to a few Asylum shows and snuck in the back door. But our relationship began to transform in a very positive way into, okay, investor, an investor type mentality, in that I knew that I had to start creating documentation. And what is the real story here? And I just don't need to tell the story of 2012. Let's go back and really tell it from 2007. So I started compiling as much data as I could. And it was end of February, early March was when the original agreement, if you will, between me and Toby, and what I had to do. And, I had to get attorneys, because Conrad, I had to be very careful, because again, I'm an owner and I have to proceed on the best way to navigate a potential acquisition. And so NDAs had to be signed. And so end of February, March of 2013 is when the original NDAs were signed between Jeff Personal, Panda Energy International, or Ventures, or whatever it may be, and TNA Entertainment. All of those were signed during that time frame, and that's when the data drops began to exchange. That me and my guys could really start putting together the numbers on what the picture looked like, the valuation, what it had been, what it was currently, and what the projections, or what it could be. Of course, lots of things what it could be were up in the air at the time. So that's kind of the route that we headed on in 2013. Again, not knowing the landscape at all in Dallas or Nashville on how it was going to be received. But, you know, I felt in 2013, early 2013, that at the very least, radical change had to take place, or I didn't see us surviving.